Hi, I'm Kim Rayner, and I want to welcome you to episode 23 of All About Spirits, Life After Cancer. And in today's episode, first let me start by apologizing for being late with the starting of it. I was having problems with my telephone and getting it to go live outside, so I needed to rethink my idea and bring myself into my house and do it here, even though it's absolutely gorgeous outside. We'll be doing the show from inside today. Yeah, it's one of those things about doing things live. So anyways, All About Spirit, Life After Cancer is a show that I produce every Monday, and I created it to help people who are dealing with life after cancer and the curveballs that we get tossed when we have life after cancer, and how it affects our relationships with ourselves, with other people, with our bodies. So really just to help people deal with life after cancer. And I created it based on the kind of support that I was looking for after my cancer treatment, and I couldn't actually find. So I hope that you find something in this information that's useful. And if you find something useful or you know somebody who might be helped by this information, you can feel free to like it, pass it on, share it however you want. And I would appreciate that. And somebody you know might appreciate that too. So today's episode is episode 23, and it's entitled, What Does Reiki Do to My Body? And this is part of a series of shows that I've been doing that really talks about the methods that I used as I was going through my actual active treatment, and then some of the methods I used after treatment to try and help me deal with some of the things that were going on that I was struggling with. And I'll start by telling you a little bit about Reiki and what Reiki is. It is a Japanese form of healing, and it literally comes from two Japanese words. The first word means God's wisdom or God's consciousness, which is Rei, R-E-I, and the second word is Ki, or K-I, and the second word means life force energy. So for me, in my mind and in my heart, Reiki literally means God's wisdom in dealing with my life force energy. And when I get a Reiki treatment, that really is what it feels like for me. And I'm going to talk a little bit at the beginning here about what Reiki, how somebody becomes a Reiki practitioner, what does that really mean? And there's 3 different levels of Reiki. The first level is a Reiki 1 practitioner, or they've been attuned, which is the word that they use when you become a Reiki practitioner. You get attuned, you're given certain energy. And attunements are performed by Reiki masters, and they literally pause and connect themselves to their God's wisdom so they can take information and literally focus that energy, take that energy and literally focus it on the person that they're working with. So when you are becoming attuned to Reiki, your practitioner literally takes the information or takes the energy of God's wisdom, channels it into you, and then God's wisdom heals or clears whatever it is within yourself that needs to be healed and cleared. So you can walk, so you become attuned to Reiki 1. And somebody who's been attuned to Reiki 1 has the capacity or the ability to perform Reiki on themselves, or to perform Reiki on somebody in close proximity to them. They can do hands-on Reiki treatments in their own environment, in their own space. So a Reiki 1 attunement is for self-care, really, or for care for people who are physically close. It also has to do with the healing of the energy blockages that are in your body. So to use a Reiki 1 treatment for your own personal healing is really a powerful tool. And one of the beautiful things about Reiki is you can practice it on yourself, or you can go to a practitioner and have somebody do Reiki on you. The second level of Reiki is where you are attuned or initiated into being able to practice Reiki on people at a distance or remotely. So you can connect to your God's wisdom and Allow that wisdom to come into you and send that wisdom into the person that you're working on, and you don't have to be in close physical proximity to them. And that's really a powerful tool and a really cool thing. And then the third level, the second level actually deals with matters of the heart. It addresses blockages within your own personal heart area. And then the third level of Reiki practitioner is the Reiki master. And that's a person who is committed and dedicated to a life of Reiki where they are wanting to teach people how to do Reiki. They want to initiate people into their own Reiki practices. So a Reiki master is a person who actually hands the symbols down to the people who are becoming attuned or practiced. And Reiki is an ancient Japanese practice, which is newly getting introduced into Western medicine. And one of the things that's really beautiful about Reiki is there are no contraindications to it. It can be used in conjunction with any kind of treatment, with any kind of healing practice, with any kind of medicine, because it's just the moving of energy. So there are no contraindications. And I know like the Cancer Treatment Center of America has been using Reiki in their treating of cancer patients for certainly the 10 years that I've been aware of them, and I'm assuming much longer. And it's becoming a more common practice in mainstream medicine today. I know that, let's say I have 3 hospitals that use it in their treatment of cancer patients that are really well known. The Mayo Clinic, which is based out of Minnesota, they use Reiki in part of their treatment plans. Sloan Kettering out of New York uses it, as does MC Anderson, which is based out of Texas. So for Western medicine hospitals of that stature to be able to be using and integrating Reiki, there is more and more belief that Reiki is a beneficial tool. And how it works, I know last week I talked about acupuncture. And I talked in a previous week, I talked about meditation and what that does to our bodies, how that impacts us. And Reiki has similar kinds of reactions. One of them is that it works in conjunction with your autonomic nervous system. And your autonomic nervous system is the part of you that's responsible for blood pressure and taking care of all those functions that you don't normally deal with on you don't think about having to deal with them. It also is used widely in the treatment of lethargy and in the treatment of depression. It's used for people who are having cognitive challenges where they're having problems processing information, which we know is a common side effect of chemotherapy. There's something literally called chemo brain that I've talked about before. And Reiki is something that they use to help counter that. Hi, Nick. Welcome. It is also used to help people deal with motor function problems if they're having problems using motor skills. It works on fatigue and pain treatment. It's used for people who have bowel problems or urinary tract problems. And it's often used for people who are dealing with fibromyalgia. It's a common use for fibromyalgia. And how I used Reiki in my process, I became a Reiki practitioner for Reiki 1, level 1, in like 1996 or 1997. It was a fun little tool, and I was playing around with it, and it made me feel good when I was using it, and I would use it on my son sometimes to help him go to sleep at night. And how I really started using it with cancer, before I even knew I had cancer, I was visiting my sister out in Colorado, and before I was ready to come home, he gave me the gift of a massage, and the massage therapist that she gifted me with was also a Reiki practitioner. And when she was doing the final closing of my session, she said, you've got something going on in your belly, and you probably want to have that taken a look at. And I was preparing to fly out early the next morning. And it's like, okay, fine. I have a doctor's appointment with my OBGYN on Monday, so I'll just mention it or pay attention or whatever. And she said, okay, fine, and sent me on her way. So I did go to the doctor that following Monday, and that's when I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. So her sensitivity to what was going on in my body, she literally picked up on the energy of that. So that's one of the things that happens with Reiki. It's like a two-way communication system. If your practitioner is really in tuned, they can feel or sense the energy in you and recognize when something isn't quite right. So I I didn't think much about Reiki during that process because I got tossed into the holy buckets I have cancer mode and started dealing with, with that kind of stuff. But then after I was all done with my treatment, and I was really starting to struggle with some of the effects of, okay, my treatment's over. What happens now? Somebody gifted me with a Reiki treatment. And I was reminded of how powerful it was and how good I felt after it was over. And I thought, you know what? I need to make this a part of my regular practice. So I reached out to somebody who's in my geographic area who is a Reiki master and went to talk about getting my second Reiki attunement so I could get a boost of the Reiki that I already knew and kind of get a refresher course on it, but then also to take those skills and to say, okay, how can I really ramp this up because I'm struggling here. I am not doing okay. And as soon as I had that first Reiki session, I reinvited Reiki into my daily life and I started doing it. It became part of my daily practice. And every morning when I would get up, it was part of what I would do first thing in the morning. And when I would get ready to go to bed at night, I would do a Reiki session on myself just to try and calm me down. And one of the things it was really helpful with was to slow down my fight, flight, or freeze system. And that was so active in me all the time that it was really helpful for me in that process. So when I was in the throes of the worst of my disease, I was using Reiki on a regular basis. And I used it throughout that process certainly to treat my pain symptoms. I used it tons of times to treat my my nervousness, my anxiety, my stress. And I mentioned before, I was a college student when I was going through this part of my process. I was still trying to get my nursing degree, and I was using Reiki to try and get myself to be able to focus and concentrate and to be able to use some different kinds of skills and tools. And that was really helpful for me. It helped me a lot. And I struggled with depression as a result of my cancer treatment. I had some bowel irregularities that came up, and I did use Reiki to treat all of that kind of stuff. And Reiki is becoming so common in treatment now, or as a supplement to treatment, that there are hospitals in my area that invite volunteers to come in and treat their cancer patients while they're literally going through their chemo treatment. The practitioners are invited to come in and volunteer and do Reiki on them while they're being treated. And it's powerful. It is so easy to do, and to get attuned to become a Reiki practitioner it's not hugely expensive, and it's something that you can do. It's a practice that you can take with you forever. In anything that goes on in your life or anything that you face. It's a beautiful healing tool. It is one of my favorites. And again, it's called Reiki. And it is literally channeling, using yourself as a channel or the practitioner as a channel to bring God's wisdom into your life force energy. And when you think about that, I know when I would be, praying for something for myself when I was going through my healing process, I would always ask for God's will because I didn't want to do something that was out of alignment with what Spirit wanted for me. I don't necessarily know what's in my best interest. So when I can invite God's energy in to have me and have God's energy be the thing that's healing me, it's got to be better than when it's coming from me. So Reiki is a great tool to use in that kind of circumstance. So again, you can use it for symptoms like depression and anxiety. You can use it to help regulate your blood pressure. You can use it to calm yourself. You can use it to find where you have energy blocks in your own system to try and release them. And it's a great tool that has no contraindications, and so it can be used with anything. And it doesn't only work for cancer patients. It's used in the treatment of fibromyalgia. It's used in the treatment of MS. It's used in a lot of different, catastrophic life kind of health events. So if you're interested, there's lots of information out on the internet about it. If you want more information, I'm happy to share information with you. You can feel free to reach out to me through the Facebook Live, through private messages on Facebook, through my Facebook page, through email. And I hope you found something in this information that is helpful. If you did, please feel free to share it with other people. If you like my page, that makes it more accessible to other people. And until we actually have a chance to talk next time, I hope that life treats you well. Thanks for being here, and make it a great week. Bye for now.